Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. Marhaban. My name is Liaquat. I hope you guys are having a wonderful time. This is my YouTube channel. If you guys are not familiar with it, you guys know what to do. Check out the videos. Check out the different types of courses, topics I cover. I've also got a website called uruq.com. I've got a lot of courses on there as well, which you can register for. So details are in the description below. Right, this series we're covering Kanz al-Daqaiq. Now, Kanz al-Daqaiq is basically a Hanafi text which covers all topics, but currently we are going through Buyoo. And in Buyoo, we're going through Khiyar al-Aib. So let's start. He says, وَلَوْ قَبَضَ الْمُشْتَرِي الْمَبِيء وَادَّعَ عَيْبًا لَمْ يُجْبَرْ عَلَى دَفْءِ الثَّمَنِ. Let's say, for example, like there's a guy, and he buys on Monday, he buys a laptop. So let's say me, I'm the buyer. Let's say you're the seller. So I buy off you a laptop. Okay. I haven't paid you yet. I still got to pay you. So let's say the laptop costs £500. I still have to owe you that money. So what's happened is, now I bought it on Monday from you, and I'm supposed to give you the money, let's say on Friday. Wednesday, I've opened the laptop and I've tried to use it, and I've realized there's a fault in there which was from the manufacturers. Right. So what's going to happen now? So, لو قبض المشتري المبيء. If the mushtari, me, if I take the laptop off you, قبض, I've taken possession of it, وَدَّعَ عَيْبًا, and now I claim on Wednesday, he claims that there is a fault in there, which was there from before Monday. لم يجبر على دفع الثمن. I won't have to give the money. So if you go to court and you say, right, he's not giving the money, I want my money, normally the courts will force me to give the money. But in this case, I'm making a claim that there is a fault in there from before Monday. Now, if there is a fault in there before Monday, I have the right to give the laptop back and get a full refund. So I can't just go to the shop and give it back. Right? If he accepts it, that's fine. But normally you go through, let's say, a court procedure. So, لو قبض المشتري المبيء. Me, I am the mushtari. I have taken possession of the mabi. وَدَّعَ عَيْبًا, and he has claimed me. I have claimed that there is an aib in this item. There is a fault in this item. Okay? Aib in this item, fault in this item. لم يجبر أجبر يجبر لم يجبر على دفع الثمن. So I, the mushtari, will not be forced legally to hand over the money to you. ولكن يبرهن أو يحلف يحلف بايعه. ولكن يبرهن. برهن يبرهن. So برهن يبرهن means I have to first of all prove that there is a fault in there now. So let's say I bought a laptop. Let's say, for example, the fault is a cracked screen. I have to prove that that cracked screen is a fault, right? Which it clearly is. But let's say, for example, I bought a laptop and the fault is that one of the software in there, let's say, for example, Microsoft Word, it keeps jamming, right? After every so often, it jams and it doesn't allow the program to go forward. So I have to be able to prove that there is a fault in there. So how would I prove there's a fault in there? Maybe I'll take it to some experts. They'll look at it, have a test and say, yes, there is clearly a fault in there. Or for example, like I have witnesses, 2 witnesses to prove, yes, he used the laptop and there was this fault in there. We saw it with our own eyes. Or anything of that sort. If it's, for example, like, a cake, you bought this cake and it's got a bad taste in there, it's got something off in there. And so obviously I'll have to prove it, get some other witnesses to prove it and say, yes, there is a bad taste in there. Or if it's a car, the car's making a rattling noise, and I have to prove that there is a fault in there that I detected on Wednesday. That's the first thing you do. وَلَكِنْ يُبَرْهِنُ. So I, as the customer, have to show that there is. Okay. أو يحلف بايعه. Right. Now, after this, then what's going to happen is then the next procedure will take place. Yeah. Well, the next procedure, once I can prove that there is a fault in there, then I have to be able to prove that the fault came from the seller. That's the second thing I have to do. So once I have proven that there is a fault in this car, the car is making a rattling sound, and I've proven it. All right. So look, I've got witnesses, proves that the car is rattling, or I've got a laptop and it proves that the laptop is faulty. Secondly, once that's been established, now I have a claim now. Right. So the reason why you do this first is so that you can prove to the courts that you really do have a fault, and it's just not one of those kind of fake claims trying to get their money back. Right? A lot of people might try this as well. They might try to buy a car and just make a fake claim and say, oh, I'm sorry, this is faulty and I want my money back. So to save people from that, what happens? is you have to kind of go through this procedure over here. So then I prove that the fault came. Now, the proving that the fault came from the the seller, that's going to be a bit difficult. He's going to talk about that a bit later on. I don't want to go too much into that, but trying to prove that this, if I can prove on Wednesday I have this fault, right, that's quite easy. But then trying to prove that this fault came from before Monday, a bit tricky there, because you might be able to prove, for example, like certain things, like a cracked screen. They might say, well, maybe you cracked the screen. How do we know that it came from Monday? But if it's like a fault inside the laptop, the charger doesn't fit in the port, that clearly shows the fault is from the manufacturer. It came from before Monday. It's the seller's. It's your fault. So this is like something which, some things are quite easy to spot. Some things they're not. Anyway, it says, lakin yubarhinu. So the first thing that he has to do is yubarhin, and then after that he can take the procedure and then follow it up. Or yuhallaf bay'ahu. But if I don't have proof, let's say I don't have proof, what do I do? So he says what he does is, the courts will summon you, the seller, you come, and the courts will say to you, okay, swear an oath that you don't know that there's a fault in this. That's a bit strange, isn't it? Like the seller has nothing to do with me. But to clear everything up, just in case they're going to make the seller's going to say, well, look, I don't even know what this guy gets up to in his own house. I don't know what he does with his laptop. How do I know? So just to clear everything up, he says, swear an oath that this laptop has a fault. So you would say, wallahi, I have no idea that this fault, this has a fault. And then what's going to happen is basically the procedure will start then. Then I have to prove that the fault came. So look at it this way then. Let's look at it this way. Either you use evidence-based method, right? I use evidence to prove that the fault exists. Number one. Once I've done that, then I can move to stage 2, which is to prove that the fault came from him. So if I can't do this, then I try the other method, which is I make him swear an oath. Now, why is this? So this is according to Sahibain. So Sahibain say, basically, in order for you to start a case, there needs to be a da'wah. There needs to be a claim that's made. And they say claim can be made in 2 ways in this situation. One is by having proof. So you provide proof, and then you can start your case. And if you don't have proof, the second thing you can do is you can actually, instead of proof, you can make the other guy swear an oath that he knows nothing about this. That will stand in place of an oath, stand in place of proof. Abu Hanifa has 2 opinions that have been reported from him about this. One is that, yes, you can do the same thing that the Sahibain say, which is in the text. The other opinion is no. Abu Hanifa says, if the seller, if the buyer does not have proof, you can't go any further with this case. Simply because you can't get someone else to swear an oath about something which he has no knowledge about. And this is where Imam Abu Hanifa, they say, there's 6 places, for example, marriage and talaq raj'i and itaq and Buyoo, where he says that the oath is not presented to the other party. Let me explain. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, when you have a court case, he said that the guy making the claim, the mudda'i, al-bayyinatu al-mudda'i, the guy making the claim has to provide the evidence. And if he doesn't have evidence, then the judge will ask the other party, the defendant, to swear an oath. Yeah. And if he swears an oath, so if this guy provides evidence, he wins the case. If he doesn't have evidence, the defendant swears an oath. If he swears an oath that he didn't do it, he wins the case. And if he rejects swearing the oath, if he denies swearing the oath, he says, I'm not going to swear the oath, then in that case, automatically, by default, the other guy wins the case. Yeah? So let's say, for example, like, I hit your car. You go to court and you say, I want to prove that this guy hit my car. So you have evidence, CCTV footage, witnesses to prove, so that you win the case. If you don't have evidence, then what happens is the defendant will have to swear an oath and say, Wallahi, I didn't hit his car. If he says this, he wins the case. If he doesn't say this, he goes, I am not going to swear an oath. In this case, he loses the case, and by default, I win the case. Because why is he not swearing an oath? So this is the procedure you have in courts. Al-bayyinatu al-mudda'i, proof is upon the claimant, and al-yaminu, and the oath is upon the defendant. Right? This is the like, and in English you have this as well. The proof is upon the onus is upon the claimant. So this is basically what he's trying to show over here. And he says that lakin yubarhin, so he's got to provide proof to start the case basically. You've got to have proof to start a claim. Your claim, is it true? Well, you need a proof. And if it's not true, right, if you don't have proof, then we can't consider it to be a true claim in court. وَلَكِنْ يُبَرْهِنْ أو يُحَلَّفْ حَلَّفَ يُحَلِّفُ بَايِعُهُ. Yeah, so the bayi will be made to swear an oath. Anyway, let's now say, okay, he says, فَإِنْ قَالَ شُهُودِي بِالشَّامِ دُفِعَ إِلَى دُفِعَ إِنْ حَلَفَ بَايِعُهُ. So he says, if this customer, like if I bought the laptop off you, haven't I? The judge says to me, okay, mate, sir, whatever. Okay, Liaquat, you are claiming that you bought this laptop off so-and-so, Zaid or Zainab, and you're saying that this laptop doesn't work properly on Microsoft Word. I say, yes. It's okay, what's your proof? I've got witnesses. Can you get your witnesses? Let me find out. I'm sorry, my witnesses are unavailable. They are in Sham. Now, this in them days, Sham was like a very far away place, like from Baghdad or someplace like that. It was like really far, right? By the time they get to the courts or summoned, it's going to take weeks. So in today's times, we have things which are all like around the world, and global communication allows things to happen instantaneously almost. So if he says something like, my witnesses are in Sham, meaning my witnesses are unavailable, they are unreachable. فَإِنْ قَالَ شُهُودِي بِشَامِ دُفِئَ, then the laptop will be, the money has to be given. So I'm going to be forced, because I've technically kind of lost the case because I don't have evidence, so I can't proceed. So dufi'a, I have to hand over the money. Dufi'a means the courts will force me, right? Give the money. You got no say. You got to stick to your laptop, right? Because you have no proof to prove there is a fault. In dufi'a in halafa ba'yahu, if the seller, if you swear an oath, right? So first of all, the judge is going to turn to you and say, right, swear an oath, go on, that you have no idea about this. And you're going to say, wallahi, I have no idea that this item has a fault in it. Okay, that's fine. And you win the case. We can't go any further. Even if you are lying, and I am telling the truth, the courts can only act upon empirical evidence. They can only act upon evidence which is tangible. And if you don't have evidence, we can't do much. The courts can't do anything. So this is why he's saying, فَإِنْ قَالَ شُهُودِي بِالشَّامِ, and if he says, my witnesses are in Sham, dufi'a, the money has to be given, meaning the customer has to give the money over, because remember, he hasn't paid yet. That's the whole issue. In halafa ba'i'ahu, if the ba'i' swears an oath. So if the ba'i' swears an oath, yeah, he's going to do that. Okay, anyway, next time we're going to be looking at some more scenarios. I don't want to make these videos too long, but next time we're going to be looking at more scenarios of certain sort of scenarios of aib, right? Defect. How do you identify defect? This is like a very tricky thing. What I would suggest is try to read this section in Hidayah. So in Hidayah and in Bahr al-Ra'iq, many examples are given of this. So Jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you guys benefit from this. Patrons, I love you all. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of you, give you barakah and in your time and your effort, for all your efforts. And if you guys want to become my patrons and help my channel and my videos, then please check out the description below. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.